Welcome everybody to Intensity Broadcasting's podcast number 5. My name's Josh Hall. I'm joined tonight by Atlee Ant-Man Weiss and Joe Wright. How you guys doing tonight?
I am doing really, really well because my driver, Martin Truex Jr., just won the Phoenix race, and we'll talk more about that. And also, you mentioned that this is number 5 for the Intensity Broadcasting podcast, and we were talking earlier. Time has really flown. How you
Yeah,
doing?
you're not lying at man. Five podcasts in, and we're running up on 1 year of intensity broadcasting as well. So
Wow.
toward the end of April, we'll be hitting 1 year. And man, we've gone over 1,000 followers on Facebook. So man, we got goals, and we're achieving them day by day. It feels like. But man, some good racing this week in a lot of our series as well. And then man, the new build, Josh. Hey.
Yeah, the new build's I've enjoyed it a lot. I actually had the opportunity to run quite a few races. I ran some dirt, I ran some super speedway. I ran the new McLaren, which was a surprise to everybody. That just kind of came out of nowheres. And I ran a couple laps at the Ring. So yeah, the dirt effects and the smoke and the new particle effects is absolutely mind blowing. I thought it was amazing. Driving through the dirt and just as the race went on towards the end of the race, all of a sudden the sky is just filled with dust, and it was pretty cool, just like you'd see at the real track.
I
Um,
mean, to talk about the smoke, I was racing in a hosted race. Somebody spun out in front of me, and he had smoke coming out from behind him. And normally you'd be able to still see, but I couldn't see anything.
yeah, I know Joe had some experience with the smoke in iOS too.
Man, during the practice was the first time I had seen it, and somebody had spun in front of me. I think it was Pocono. Is that where we
Yep.
were? Yeah,
Mhm.
Pocono. Somebody spun in front of me, and I was like, I'll just drive through the smoke, Days of Thunder style. Anyways, I ended up shooting Brian Merle Jr. up into the stands, I think. So,
But
yeah, the smoke is crazy, but I mean, the downfall for some of the people, and we see a lot of complaints on a lot of the forums, a lot of the Facebook communities, is the draft model not being what people want it to be. And I know where Josh is going. I saw his face just now. I know where Josh is going, and I agree with you, Josh. And me and you are on the same page. If you get the right people together that know how to do the things that need to be done, we can get it done. But Atman and I jumped into a late night Friday night race. Was me, Eddie, my brother, and Atman, and we were turning some laps, and I felt the bubble everybody complains about. I felt the side draft pullback, which is a crazy feeling in the card that you've never had on a super speedway before in iRacing. So that's pretty cool. But I also, when I got to Eddie, we and him were able to do things when we worked together. So I think that's where you're going.
yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it felt awesome. And after watching the race back a little bit, I was like, man, that looks just like you would see. As the lead car, I was just running the stock setup. It was Mitch Qualls race, which, if you guys don't know, Mitch Qualls puts on a super speedway race, 30 lapper with you have to pit every half hour. So there's
Right, it's like
always one of those up.
24/7.
Yeah,
Yep.
24/7. So there were some good drivers in there. Alcina ended up winning it, but I just grabbed the default set and I qualified 17th, drove myself up to fifth. I mean, it I had to drag the brake to get the car behind me to catch me to get the push, but it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Did you
But
notice that they were a little bit looser under push,
oh yeah,
being pushed and pushing as well? I felt like that was much more realistic as well. It wasn't like you could just lean on somebody and stay stuck to them. You had to be pretty accurate and no swiping left and right in
yeah,
order for it
no,
to work proper.
exactly, and which is what you would expect in the Cup car. Those guys. I mean, Anthony Alfredo says it best. I mean, he said that it feels just like it feels in the car. And if you have somebody like Anthony Alfredo, who, yeah, he's an iRacing, sponsored driver, but he's also a Twitch streamer, and he has some fun out there, and he's not gonna, he has experience in the car. He knows what it's gonna do. So he said
Mhm.
if
Right.
it feels really, really good. And a lot of the pro drivers and a couple of the other drivers, I think Denny Hamlin said somewhere that it felt really, really good too. So, and we know he's an all right super speedway racer.
All right. I
Yeah.
mean, he's okay.
Hey, yeah, man. So you had some experience in that Friday night race. We had some. It was a hosted race, so there was a lot of jokers in there. But the
Of
times when you
course.
were when you were in the draft and running around, how'd you feel out there?
I mean, it felt like there was like a bubble between you and the bumper of the car in front of you. You couldn't suck up to somebody.
Yeah.
Then I got to run some Bristol dirt, which is amazing. and
I
I'm
still haven't done that.
In
yeah,
the
I need
cup
to do that.
cars?
in the cup cars. Yep, and
Yep, that's what you gotta do, and that's authentic. You gotta race it in the cup
it,
cars.
it felt really really cool. It felt different. It's not something you normally feel driving the cup cars. So I was excited about that. It was a lot of fun. I was in a race actually with Anthony Alfredo as well. So he put up a bunch of them recently. So it was fun to race with a couple cup drivers in there as well. And I got to drive the new McLaren. That was kind of a surprise for me because I'm a bit of a roadie. I'm a bit of a GT guy. I like running those things. And the new McLaren is pretty fun, actually. I don't know if you guys saw that. It came out on a hot patch just kind of out of nowheres.
It was like day after the full patch, and then they dropped the hot
Right.
patch.
Yeah, so I knew the hot patch was coming because there was a couple things they had to fix, but they ended up releasing the McLaren 570S GT4, which is a fun little tin top, kind of the predecessor to the MP4 12C. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to drive. It's very very controllable. It's not like the Porsches that really understeer and oversteer you depending on how you drive it. This car is really balanced, and I had a lot of fun driving it. So check it out if you haven't yet. It's a lot of fun. Trust me, it's a blast to drive. And
And then what about Hockenheimring?
Hockenheim Ring, I love that track. I know I called it the Red Bull Ring last week, and I apologize. I was thinking the other, I was thinking the Austrian track, not the German track. But it's a lot of fun. It's a learning curve for me because there's a lot of elevation. There's a lot of really tight technical corners. It's a very technical track, so I'm still learning that one. That one is I'll probably be running quite a few laps on that before I got that one dialed in. So I believe that's everything that was in the build this time around. So
Mhm.
Atlee, why don't you go ahead and let us know who we got today?
So I am proud to introduce that our guest for the podcast will be Kyle Myer, and here's some of his accomplishments. He was the 2009 Junior champion at Capital City Speedway, the 2016 Senior Champ Animal VDK champion, and he was the 2016 VDK Senior Champ Driver of the Year, and he is a racer in our Intensity Racing League short track series right now. He's second in points, competing for the championship. The final race for that series is next Wednesday. But so I am now proud to introduce our podcast guest, Kyle Myer. Hey, Kyle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine. How about y'all?
Man, we're doing good. Excited to give you some cues, and we're ready for some A's.
So
Plan to me.
awesome. So Kyle, how long you been on iRacing for, and what's your favorite series to run so far?
I jumped on somewhere around March, April of last year, and I'm all about the supers. I just can't get away from them. I, I mean, I like the legends too. Between the legends and the supers, I don't know how I'd be able to pick between the two.
So
Now, Kyle, is that because of having some experience in those in real life, or what?
No, I've actually only driven dirt go karts. It's
Okay.
the real racing experience I have.
no, I want to ask about that. How did you get into running, the flat carts and the dirt cars?
So I used to go to G-Force all the time. I probably wasted 3 real life racing seasons in that place. Money wise, and my dad, one of his when he was working construction, one of the contractors that he had was actually crew chiefing for somebody on dirt, and talked us into going up there one night with me and my dad and him and his driver and this and that. And I was actually running with his driver at G-Force, and he was like, "Wow, yeah, I think Kyle might actually like real racing. Why don't you bring him to the track in a couple weeks, and we'll just throw him in something, see how he does." So I did that and struggled a little bit just from never doing it before, and ended up in the wall a couple times, but came out with a top 5 finish my first time out. And I told dad that from that point on I didn't care about baseball, I didn't care about anything else. I wanted to race, and that was all there was to it, and we need to make it happen.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Like and I know that experience of jumping in a car and not really knowing what it's going to do because I did a similar thing at Stafford Motor Speedway. A buddy of mine has a rental program, and I ran street stocks up there. But what's the future hold? What's the goals? What kind of racing you hoping to do a little later down?
I mean, like like most everybody, once you start racing, I mean, you obviously would like to jump in a big car, but realistically, I don't foresee that happening unless somebody wanted to foot the bill entirely. Because I just can't do it. I know that for a fact. So I'm sure I'll be in go karts until I decide I've had enough, which hopefully that won't be until I'm about 80 and can't bend over.
Morgan
So,
Shepherd.
right? Yeah, man, you crack me up. So, Kyle, we talked a little bit about your racing experience and things of that nature. How old are you?
I'm 26, be 27 in May.
All right. So, what do you do off the track? What's personal life look like for you outside of iRacing and go karting? But what do you do off the track?
Really, I just go to work, hauling lumber right now. Um,
Not a
yeah,
bad place to be.
no, did a little bit of dump trucks for a little bit, did some concrete trucks for a while, and now I'm kind of in like a flatbed hauling lumber type deal. Um, that's about it. I just go to work, come home, jump on here, I go out in the garage, work on carts when I need to, and go to the racetrack. If I'm not racing, I'll be at one somewhere 9 times out of 10.
With the whole dump truck thing, we might have to mention you to Gil
I was
For
thinking
sure.
it. I wasn't going to say it, but
as soon as he said dump truck. But I do have to ask, out of all the tracks that you've ever raced at, what has been your favorite and why?
Oof, that's a hard question, that man. That's a hard question. Um, I've been to quite a few interesting dirt tracks as far as on the go kart circuit. Um, I'd have to say my favorite would be Georgia Karting Complex. It's right off of 85 in Carnesville, and it's flat, fairly big. Just I feel like it's a pretty fast, high speed track. And I went down there my first year ever racing and went for 7 years straight to their big Thanksgiving event. And it was just one of the coolest, baddest tracks I've been to.
nice. What's your favorite real life track big track you've been to for any real racing you've seen?
Like NASCAR or
Yeah, yeah,
short
you've
track?
been either or.
Either.
Short track, I have to say, man, I've only been to a couple. I've been to Langley, South Side, and South Boston, and that's it. And I'd have to say, out of those, Langley would be the best.
Thank you.
Although I grew up at South Side and only went to Sobo, I think maybe once, twice. Um, Bristol would be my favorite NASCAR track I've been to.
I hear that a lot.
That's what everybody says. I
It's a
mean,
Right.
Bristol, it's such a crazy environment. That and Talladega, two of the two best NASCAR tracks to go to. I've been to Bristol, but I mean Talladega's on the bucket list. So I mean, I've heard that from a lot of people when asked, favorite track.
yeah, as a
I don't
north.
know. Sorry, go
Oh, I
ahead,
was gonna
Joe.
say, as a northern boy, I definitely got to get down to some of those southern tracks because New Hampshire only can only do so much for you, and Watkins Glen is a road course. I want to see one of those big speedways like that, or even a Bristol because just how amazing the track is and the history behind it.
Yeah. So me and Eddie are going to be heading over to Dirt Bristol here in about 2 weeks. I just decided that today.
Lucky
And
you.
anybody who wants to go is welcome to join me. But Kyle, what other tracks have you been to? Have you say your favorite was Bristol? Have you been to Richmond? Have you checked out any other ones?
I used to go to Richmond quite religiously for a while. I've been there, been to Charlotte. Um, I think those are the only NASCAR tracks I've been to. I'd love to go to Dover. I'd like to make it to Martinsville and a super speedway, whether it be Daytona or Talladega at some point at least one time would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow, Kyle. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing so much about yourself and your racing career. I mean, it's impressive so far what you've accomplished, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds for you.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Hey Kyle, I got one more quick question. I'm gonna kind of interrupt
Oh,
that man's closeout real quick. So
no,
you're
you're good.
running for points in the short track league and on IRL, and my question for you is it possible for you to catch Brendan Queen? And if so, are you gonna win this championship this next week?
I would like to think it's possible. Bristol kind of hurt. I feel like he definitely put a feather in his hat in Bristol. And then last week,
I tried to hold him up as much as I could there.
well,
I literally gave it everything it had, and he just drove really, really good.
when he cleared y'all, I knew that was it. That was a wrap. I was like, well, the only way I was going to get past y'all was to race how I don't like to race.
Right.
So that wasn't going to happen. And then last week really hurt. I really wish I hadn't gotten DQ'd in qualifying. That's why I started in the back. I feel like it might have been a little bit easier task if I had started towards the front, or at least got a time. But I mean, I could have walled them, I could have left reared them and junked them, but that's not my style. So we'll end up where we end up.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna be rooting for you because I always root for the underdogs in those situations anyway. But yeah, man, you can take it out now.
All right. Well, I mean, like I
I had
said,
to ask the tough question. I'm not gonna leave that one on the table.
right, because I did mention that. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and again, we look forward to seeing what the future holds for you. And have a great rest of your night.
Thank you guys. Y'all too.
So yeah, man, Kyle, how do you know him in real life, or do you know him in real life?
I've never met him, but he does. How we know him. He races for Jonathan Mullett Racing, and Jonathan Mullett. He helped me with the go karting, and now he's been helping me with the Bandolero, and I mean he's been such a great help, and I just want to give a shout out to Jonathan Mullett. Thank you so much for all that you've done and helped me with my racing career. But yeah, that's how we know Kyle Myer.
All right, perfect.
That's
I was
awesome.
wondering that. I knew he was kind of local, and so I was wondering maybe how or if you knew him personally. So cool. But like you said, we got some iRacing League stuff and info to go over, starting with our Sunday night Original Rebels, Josh.
Yeah, the Original Rebels League, brought to you by the Thin Blue Line USA. They had a great race at the Monster Mile. Zach Wetstein, excuse me, won his fourth race of the season. I know I've been doing it all season. Zach
Right.
Wetstein wins his fourth race of the season. There's a little bit of drama on the last lap as Jeff Paisley and Aaron Adcock made some contact coming off of four on the last lap to help Jeff take that second place. It was just hard racing. Aaron said it after the race. He wasn't trying to get into Jeff. He just wanted to do what he could to secure the podium and get as many points as he could. But that's going to let Zach hold on to that points lead as he's dominating the season so far. William
Well,
Griff,
Aaron threw it in there on
Aaron did throw it in
Wetstein
there.
too, trying to get to him, but it just wasn't enough. Zach was best all night there.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, Aaron was all over Zach's back bumper, overdrove the corner, wore out the tires, and then him and Jeff got together coming off of through 3 and 4, and it was a great race. That last 2 laps were just incredible racing. But yeah, so the Zach's going to hold on to the points lead. William Griffith is in second, and Garrett Kinder is in third in points right now. And tonight, which is after this podcast, and which would have been last night if you're listening to it the day after, they have their All-Star race, which our own Joe Wright's going to be racing in.
Hey.
Yeah, it's because I got that win early in the season on a pickup race. So they add all drivers who have wins in the series plus pole sitters too, right? Is that
Yep,
right, Josh?
yep. And then they
Yeah.
had a
So
special
they're the
race
all-star.
last night, and they had a fan vote as well.
Did you get the fan vote at least?
Huh? No, so I got an invitation, but I'm going to be calling it instead of racing it. So
All right.
then Monday night we had
Average Joe's. Now I didn't call this race, but I'm gonna help my man Matt out by telling y'all the results. So we saw 7 cautions, 4 lead changes, and this was at Lanier Dirt. We saw Dylan Petty started third, led 10 laps. He ended up getting the win. He led 15 laps. We saw Dylan D. Thomas get the win. Let's see, Brent Homan got third place. He led a lot of laps as well, 16 most out of anyone. Matthew Belt got fourth, and then Quentin Reed ended up finishing fifth. So that's it for the Average Joe.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, we had some technical difficulties that they worked through on that broadcast as well. Every time we have a new broadcaster or host come on, it's a learning curve. We try to help them as best we can, but in order to really do it, you have to get on there and let it rip, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So we're working through those technical difficulties. If you're an Average Joe watcher, just stick with us. We'll get it right eventually. It takes a little bit of time sometimes.
Hey, my
I
first couple
still
of
mess.
races, I was
I
gonna say,
still mess stuff up.
oh, I did too.
Oh, absolutely, me too.
A perfect example was, I think it was Tuesday night because Atlee called me with Wednesday night, so it was Tuesday night. I had the wreckage replay, our famous wreckage replay with Isaiah Gill, up on the screen, and then I started talking about the wreck as I'm watching it, and everyone's
And
like,
you
you know,
still
you
had the
can't
record
see that.
replay
It's
up.
like, oh, oops,
I've done that many
we've
times.
all
I've seen
done it.
it
So,
too.
hey, we're the professionals, and we do it. So,
We're the most unprofessional professionals you'll ever meet. Anyway,
absolutely.
so then,
Exactly.
so then after Average Joe's, we had the iOS ARCA race, and that was at Watkins Glen International, and it was my first time calling a road course, but I had fun with it. I actually loved calling the road course race because there was there was one competition caution, but no cautions. All the rest of the cautions were local cautions, and it was really fun to be like watching a really good battle, and then maybe it fizzles out, and you can go to like the 6 crashes that happened in between while you were watching that battle, and so it was pretty fun. But Logan Hagerman comes home second with 0 incidents at Watkins Glen, so shout out to him being
Wow.
able to drive at the Glen and come home with 0 incidents. I mean, he could have got 1x just from touching the grass, and he didn't even do that. Comes home second.
That's
But
impressive.
Brandon White taking the win. Brandon White getting his first win in the ARCA series this season, and we knew he was fast from the gate, and so watching him dominate most of the race, actually the whole race, 25 laps led, start to finish. Devin Bacino comes home third. As for points, I don't have those for you, but that's because they haven't updated them
Yep.
yet.
I mean, for me, the road courses are just like a maze that I'm trying to find my way through, but I don't exactly have the directions. It was scary, but
Oh,
I did
that's
have
right.
fun running that. I did.
You had a
You
tough night.
remember? You
You had a
remember what
tough night.
happened?
So I'm gonna put Atman on blast real quick. Atman's coming
What?
through the S's, gets his right side up on the curb a little bit. That slows him down just enough for the guy behind him to tag him in the left rear, spins him around in the S's,
Oof.
and
The pile.
it's like the worst place at the Glen to crash is in the S's because every car coming through there either doesn't see you or they barely see you as they're hitting you. So lots of lots of people got taken out in that one. And
Yeah.
so Atman ended up 28th, 6 laps down. But hey, listen, you didn't end up
No
29th.
game.
You didn't end up 29th, Matt Man. And Zachary Cox came in 29th. So there you go.
Yeah. There's 2 bad places to crash at the Glen: the S's and the short chute where the boot enters, comes back on the track. I can't remember the turn numbers
Yeah,
there. Was that
it's
turn
a
9
well, yeah, it would be turn 9
after the
if you're
carousel?
counting. Yep. Well, carousel is 9
Okay,
ultimately.
so it's between 9 and
Between
10.
9 and 10. Yep. The short shoot.
I don't know. It's all confusing, all the turns and everything. I'm not a big road course
I
fan.
just want to turn left. My name's
I
that
just
man. I just want to turn left.
exactly left turns are all I know.
Oh man. Then on Tuesday, we had our iOS Cup Series presented by Fort Worth Screen Printing, which was at Oh No Pocono, as Atlee likes to call it.
I
And
mean, I got that from Eddie. Eddie always likes to call it that as well.
the tricky triangle. Colin
Tricky triangle.
Willems won his second race this season, holding off Kyle Myers and Cody Moore for the win. There's a lot of cautions and 3 green-white checkers. It was a tough race for the points leader Stephen Black, who had a great race going. He was dominating the race, went into pits, and the 22 of Chris Wheeler just lost it off of turn 3, just coming onto the straightaway, and spun right across the track and hit Stephen Black right in the passenger side door. And
Ouch.
just totally unlucky. Nothing either one of them did wrong. You know, it's tricky getting off turn 3 sometimes because that's the corner you really want to get that good run down the long straightaway for. So, you know, he had a tough night. He finished 14th. I know Joe had a little bit of a tough night there as well, if you
I
remember.
didn't have a tough. I didn't have a tough night at
Oh,
the
no, at
at the
Pocono.
cup race.
No, that's right.
Not in the cup
You led
race.
some laps in the cup
I
race.
led some laps in the cup race, and then the intensity racing team of myself, Logan Hagerman, and Eddie Morris. We came home 7th, 8th, 9th.
Oh,
Logan's been super consistent, and we actually went through signing for iOS this past week, and we've re-signed him for iOS again next season. And we've also got um, Eddie Morris for next season as well. And then we have one open position that we have a potential fill, but I can't talk about that yet.
Awesome. And then we had
so,
the short track.
right. So the Intensity Racing League short track series saw 0 cautions and 0 lead changes because Brendan Queen led every single one of the laps, all 50. But we talked about this earlier. Kyle Myer, he finished second. He got DQ'd in qualifying, so he had to start in the back, and he made his way all the way up, and he went on a mad dash to get up there to Brendan Queen, but it wasn't quite enough. The only way that he could get by him was if he did something like, dirt 8 turned him or something. So he didn't have quite enough time to get up there, and he couldn't do it. Saw Blake Stallings get third, Daniel Folds fourth, and then best finish in the Intensity Racing League Short Track Series, Matt Pucker Knight gets fifth place.
Did you say 0 cautions?
0 cautions,
Wow.
cleanest race I've ever seen. I mean, it
And
was
I just want to clarify that middle name is Pucker with a P. Just throw that out.
Pucker.
Awesome.
That is his signature, trademark.
Oh,
Yeah.
he used it quite a few times on Tuesday night. And then I had the pleasure of Atlee joining me on Wednesday night for the iOS Truck Series, which was much of the same, but some hard racing, a couple cautions, and Stephen Black stretches fuel to take the win, and he ran out of to tell you how much he stretched the fuel. He ran out of gas coming around to do
To
his
do the
donuts.
burnout. Right.
So he was real close there, and then let's see, Kyle Mays, I'm sorry, let's see, Dustin Dean and Colin Willems were second and third, and I know Dustin and
Was not
Colin
happy.
and Cody Moore were not happy with each other at the end of the race. I know apologies since then have been, you know, everybody's ironed things out, but for a couple days there was some really hard feelings between those guys, and there was a lot of aggressive driving and blocking all across the track, not just with those guys, but just everywhere. But it ended up being a pretty good race at the end, and I know this is the race. I apologize. Joe had a tough night at.
Well, yeah, I was doing good. I actually was in the top 10
And
most
then
of the
your
night.
internet.
Yeah, then I just had the internet drop on me, and I had to go to work on Friday morning super early again, and I had been up uh, pretty late the last couple nights. So yeah, I was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna win this thing now. I'll just park it and let these guys shoot it out. And turns out I probably was better off because it went for a lot longer, and there was a lot more wrecks right after that. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was a tough race. Tomocono is a tricky track, but both the Cup Series and the Truck Series will be moving to Kansas this week.
yeah, which should be some really good racing from what I've heard, and some good strategy, a lot of tire wear.
Yes. And then we had Thursday night dirt.
Yep, double dirt Thursday as we saw starting off the dirt cars. It was a little bit of a controversial race. We saw Dylan Wilson get the win. He led the final lap, which was the only lap he led. John Foskey finished second. Um, Will Witt third. John Bartlett fourth. Mick Olofsson fifth. But I do have to explain. So on the final lap, Dylan Wilson was running the high side, and he was full throttle through the turns, had the bump and run on John Foskey, and ended up taking the win. But I do want to clarify that he has been penalized, and John Foskey's now been the points have been given to him as the winner. So a little
Wow.
bit of a controversial race for the dirt cars.
Interesting. Interesting.
But I did have to clarify that if anybody was wondering. John Foskey did ended up getting the first place points, and Dylan Wilson has been penalized.
Wow.
But after that, we saw the Iowa West Dirt Dominator Series, and Tyler Kinsey gets 2 in a row, led 26 laps. We did see 4 cautions, 2 lead changes. DC Smith gets second, Mason Haney third, Stephen Black finishes fourth, and then Ryan Gregoric finishes fifth. But everybody's saying, Tyler Kinsey, you need to slow down a little bit. I mean, he's been very, very dominant. It's clear that he's a very, very great dirt racer.
He's fast. He's just he's fast. And watching him from behind him and watching him just go away, it's incredible what he can do with the car. And Knoxville was it was a different track. Because I run in that series. It was my first time running at Knoxville. It's full throttle the whole way around. You don't have to lift, but there's this really weird berm down at the inside that I may have caught a couple
Right.
times.
It's almost like Talladega, almost with like Talladega or Daytona with like the super speedway berm, where if you get on it, you're gonna like slide back up the track. Very
It
complicated.
it reminds me of if they took Martinsville's curbs and added them to a super speedway. That's what it felt like.
And then there's like also kind of like a rumble strip almost.
Yeah, it's a really weird track, and I had some. I mean, in qualifying, there was one guy upside down before we left pit lane, but and that was not me. I ended up being upside down later on in the race, but it was it was a fun night. I'm looking forward to next week.
And then to wrap up the iRacing Series races, we saw the ISSL Super Speedway Series. We saw 2 cautions and only 1 lead change. Started off, Raymond Ridenour led the first 2 laps, and then after that, it was all Matthew T. Lee. T. Lee and Garrett Maines just pushed each other throughout the entire race. Ended up getting 1-2 with Raymond Ridenour finishing third, Andrew Navarro fourth, and Colton J. Harvey fifth. I mean, both Matthew T. Lee and Garrett Maines, once those 2 get hooked up, I mean, they're gone. And I know, Joe, you called the race.
Yeah, I just man, it was for money, right?
And then we did actually get to see a little preview of our. That was the first time that I ever saw the new draft package.
Well, right, and that's what I was trying to get at. It's for money, and they stayed single file to the last corner of the last lap of the race.
And they I mean, it was all pretty much single file in the last corner of the race.
Yeah, I mean, we had like some guys try, but like nobody working together, nobody trying to get past any. It was just, I don't know if it's the racing or what they were doing or what, or people were just like, hey, I'm in third place, like that locks me into the money. I'm not gonna try anything. I don't want to fall back, and that could have been the case. But man, if I was second or third, well, second didn't matter because he was Garrett, but working on Matthew T. Lee. But from third on back, I'd have been talking to those guys like, hey, let's go around these guys. Let's go get first, second, and third for everybody but them. Let's do something. But it just didn't happen.
And I think that's gonna be it for iRacing League races. I'm pretty sure. Any other things?
No, we don't have any other league races right now. We just got some real NASCAR to get talking about.
Yep.
I know you got some notes there, Atlee, on the Xfinity race.
Yep. So starting off an Xfinity race, we saw Austin Cindric get the win. Ty Gibbs get second. And then we saw an interesting driver in third, Brandon Brown.
Yeah, he had a great run there. Ended up finishing third, just out of nowheres.
And then let's see. So the late restart with 2 laps remaining was definitely the biggest threat to Cindric's lead. Cindric did dominate a lot of the race. But several cars running among the top 10 on that final restart hit the wall or hit one another in the chaotic run to the checkered flag.
Yeah, Dinger ended up in the inside wall from Eric Jones, right?
Yep.
I was actually going to cover that. So with only 33 laps remaining, Brandon Jones was hit from behind by Allmendinger, which turned him, and Jones ended up getting a DNF because the damage was too much from the incident. So there's a little bit of a controversy there for the Xfinity race.
Yeah. How about Ty Gibbs? That dude's a
Right.
bad man. Bad man. I mean,
He's
he
only
is.
made 2 starts, and he finished 1-2. And Ty Gibbs is actually the first driver since Terry Labonte to win his debut and finish second in his second race.
And what happened to Noah Gragson?
So he
Oh,
had some engine failure and the car caught on fire.
yeah.
Uh,
He actually, I believe he had a popped an oil line because they showed a view of him. That was early in the race. I think that was on lap like 30 or 40. He just started spewing liquid and then the car caught on fire. So
Interesting.
tough break for him.
And then again, JJ Yealy gets another top 15, 13th. I mean, and again, this is in Rick Ware racing cars. I mean, he's been performing very, very well. But I mean, we do have a lot of people saying, oh, they need to put him in a good car. He had a chance in a good car. Remember, if those of you who don't know, JJ Yealy raced for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Cup Series.
In the 18 car.
In the
True.
18 car, but I mean, but then for him, it was kind of like a Danica situation where he was given the chance and good equipment, but he didn't produce the results.
You know, there's been a couple people who've gone through Gibbs cars that haven't really proved themselves. I mean, look at Joey Logano. Joey Logano drove the 20 car after Tony Stewart and did nothing. Uh,
True.
and now he's a Cup champion.
True.
So sometimes it's not always the best equipment. Sometimes it's the team around you that matches up.
And then also want to give a shout out to Riley Herbst. He gets his first top 10 in the 98.
Awesome job for
Finished
him.
4th. And then we just saw it. Let's talk a little bit about the Cup race.
Man, that was a wild one. It starts off with Brad Keselowski almost knocking down the inside wall on the start of the race, trying to get down to the apron to. I've never seen a car run that low through the dog leg at Phoenix ever, and takes the early lead. And yeah, I thought it was just a fantastic race overall. I know somebody won. Who was it? It was no,
I don't know.
it was
It was that
Truex.
like 19 car. I don't know that 19 car. But yeah, Mark Truex Jr. gets the one. I got the Truex Jr. autographed hat on right now. I stood in line at Bass Pro Shops to get it. I mean, and he's a very nice, chill guy, but he gets the win. Joe Logano second, Denny Hamlin third. But we saw a lot of bumping and banging throughout the race. Started off when Alex Bowman, who was running at 18th, bumped the rear of Ross Chastain. Then we saw Austin Dillon nudge Bowman, and then in return. So then we saw Chastain and Dillon. They didn't have any damage, but Bowman went into the outside wall, and that tore up his car. And then we saw on lap 271, we saw Ross Chastain nudge Kyle Busch into the wall.
I love it. I just became a Ross Chastain fan.
And then,
Hello. Sorry.
and then what?
We've gone off the rail.
And then we saw Bubba Wallace turn Cole Custer, but the caution did not come out for that.
I saw that, and I saw that as hard racing. I mean, that I didn't see. Bubba was just driving, and he just came off the corner, and he wasn't expecting Cole Custer to check up that much. I didn't see that being a intentional thing. But we had a
Yeah,
good
Bubba
race.
Bubba ended up 16th. Not bad.
No, I mean,
Um,
he led some
my guy,
laps. He was up at the
my
front for
guy,
a while.
yeah, my guy Blaney came home 10th. Got the first stage win. Um,
Of the season for him.
yeah, Brad and Joey had great days all day. The Fords showed the speed for sure. Like you said, Joey and Brad working hard there, and I think it's pretty disappointing for Joey losing that thing to the Truex monster.
Yeah, Truex had a great restart. I mean, that was.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't time a restart better than that. And Joey thought he was going to clear him. I'm pretty sure. I didn't get to watch the race interviews or anything, but I know Martin just had that outside that grip slick that grip.
PG,
Yeah, the P
PJ1.
was Logano calling it the secret sauce up there. And it just worked for him. And not many guys can make that work that well. Usually they're slipping and sliding after a couple laps, so he made it work.
Now here's a cool statistic. Now Truex may be the 19, but at Phoenix the number 28 meant a lot to him. This is his 28th win. He broke a 28 race winless streak, and with this win that puts him 28th all time in wins.
pretty sweet.
And
That,
then I've been talking about this stat for a while. Yesterday's Xfinity race, it was the 18th consecutive race across the top 3 series combined that was won by a driver with 10 or fewer career wins in that series going into the race, with Austin Cindric getting his 10th win. But the streak has now ended at 18 races with Truex his Cup win, which I'm completely fine with. But it was cool to
That's his first win ever at Phoenix, though. So
right. It
kind of
is his first win.
continue,
Right.
some more uniqueness to the season again.
But I mean, it was really, really cool to see a lot of new faces: Larson, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Michael McDowell, and then the same thing goes for the Xfinity Series. We saw Myatt Snyder, Ty Gibbs. So again, it was really, really cool to see a lot of new winners, and I hope it. I think it's going to be good for the sport because a lot of people think, oh, it's the same drivers winning week in and week out, but that's not true this season.
Now that was the problem with Jimmy Johnson. That's why everybody kind of like pushed a lot of people away. They stopped watching because you had somebody winning every week that was just dominant, right? So
I got another shout out I want to throw out there for the race. How about Daniel Suarez, 21st on the lead lap with that team, brand new team this year, Pitbull's team,
Pitbull
and
and Justin Marks.
yeah, and being able to get a good, not quite a top 20, but a top 21. I mean, in pretty much brand new everything. That's awesome, awesome job for that team.
and El Marola starts 32nd, finishes 11th.
Yeah,
I mean,
Not bad.
recently. I mean, he hasn't been having too good of races, but I mean, that's pretty good performance for him.
Yep.
But I think that's gonna wrap it up here.
yeah. Where are we going next week with the Cup Series? We are going to Atlanta, and that's going to be
Atlanta,
that's
hot Atlanta.
hot Atlanta. That
Yep.
we want to talk about a track that eats up tires.
Right.
It's going to be that one.
iRacing Oval Series trucks and Cup are headed to Kansas, and the ARCA Series. Man, you said it's going where?
It's gonna be going to Phoenix, and I'm excited for that just because we were just there in the NASCAR series. So I just watched them race on it, and I'm about to race on it myself. But in some of the leagues that I announced the next race, the only one that I know, the Intensity Racing League Short Track Series finale is gonna be at Martinsville,
Nice.
which is the best, probably the best place to have the finale. I instead of Phoenix, NASCAR needs to hold the final race at Martinsville, in my opinion.
That'd be interesting.
There's a lot of tracks that could hold that final race. That would be phenomenal. I think even having the final race at Charlotte would be fun. Being in the team's backyard,
Right.
having the championship brought right to them.
But
And
again, I think that's gonna wrap it up.
yeah, Atlee, why don't you take us home?
So thank you everyone for watching the Intensity Broadcasting podcast. And you can always watch this again or previous episodes on Spotify. Watch or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, and you can watch it on YouTube and Facebook. And again, we have fun doing these podcasts. I enjoy doing them. But make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. We're on the road to 2,000 on Facebook, and we're still going to 1,000 subscribers and followers on Twitch and YouTube. So make sure to do that. And then also check us out on Twitter as well. So hopefully everybody has a great night. I'm Atlee Manlise on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting crew. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Over and out. What?